Okay, we'll start with Mangalacharan and then we'll do prayers from Mukundamala Stotra, followed by reading from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrit. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namah Vishnupadaya Krishnapreshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminate Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatadeshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Okay. Anybody would like to sing today? Verses 11 to 20. Kundamala Stotra. Share the screen. Okay, it should be on now. Yes, anybody would like to try? Even one or two verses? How about Ritesh Prabhu? Or Anandini Mataji is also here today. Anandini Gopika Mataji, would you like to sing?
Hare Krishna
No.
Prabhu, I won't be able to. I'm working, so just listening in.
Oh, okay. Hari Bol. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Okay, so I will sing and then we'll read the translations. Hare Krishna. Bhavajaladgatanam Dvandvavatahatanam Sutaduhitrakalatra Tranabharaditanam Vishama Vishayatoye Majjatamaplavanam Bhavati Sharanam Eko Vishnupoto Naranam Bhavajaladhim Agadham Dustaram Nistareyam Kathamaham Cheto Masmaga Sarasijadrishi Deve Taraki Bhaktireka Narakabhidi Nishanna Tarayashyat Avashyam Trishna Madana Pavano Dhutamohormimale Dharavarte Tanaya Sahaja Graha Sangha Kulecha Samsharake Mahati Jaladhau Majjatam Nastridhaman Padam Bhoje Varada Bhavatu Bhakti Navam Prayacha Prithvi Renuranu Payam Shikanika Falgus Pulingo Lagus Tejo Nishwasanam Marutanutaram Randram Susukshmam Nabha Shudra Rudra Pitamaha Prabhataya Kita Samasta Sura Drishte Yatra Sa Tarako Vijayate Shripadadhulikana He Loka Shrinuta Prasuti Marana Vyadhischikitsam Imam Yogagnya Samudha Paranti Munayo Yam Yagnavalkyadayah Antarjyotirameyam Ekam Amritam Krishnakhyam Apiyatam Tatpitam Paramaushadham Vitanute Nirvanam Atyantikam Hemartya Paramam Hitam Shinutavo Vakshyami Sankshepatah Samsarar Navam Apadurmi Bahulam Samyak Pravishya Sthitah Nana Jnanamapasya Chetasi Namo Narayanyeti Yamam Mantram Sa Pranavam Pranama Sahitam Pravartayadvam Muhu Nathena Purushottame Trijagatam एकाधिपे चेतसा सेव्ये स्वस्य पदस्य धातरि परे नारायणे तिष्ठति यं कञ्चित् पुरुषाधमं कतिपय ग्रामेशमल्पार्थदम् सेवायै मृगयामहे नरमहो मूढावराका वयम् बद्धेनाञ्जलिना नतेन शिरसा गात्रे सरोमोद्गमै कण्ठेन स्वरगद्गदेन नयने नोद्गीर्णबाष्पाम्बुना नित्यं त्वच्चरणारविन्दयुगल ध्यानामृता स्वादिनाम् अस्माकं सरसीरुहाक्ष सततं सम्पद्यतां जीवितम् यत्कृष्णप्रणिपातधूलिधवलां तद्वर्ष्णदत् वै शिरस् ते नेत्रे तमसोज्जिते सुरुचिरे याभ्यां हरिदृश्यते सा बुद्धिर्विमलेन्दुषा शङ्खधवला या माधवध्यायिनी सा जीवामृतवर्षिणी प्रतिपदं या स्तौति नारायणम् जिह्वे कीर्तय केशवं मुररिपुं चेतो भजो श्रीधरं पाणिद्वन्द्वसमर्चयच्युतकथः श्रोत्रद्वयत्वं शृणु कृष्णं लोकय लोचनद्वयहरेर्गच्छाङ्घ्रियुग्मालयम् जिघ्रघ्राणमुकुन्दपादतुलसीं मूर्धन्यमाधोक्षजम् श्री मुकुंदमाला स्तोत्र की जय। श्री कुलशेखर आलवार की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। Yes, you can read the translations. Anybody would like to read today?
Yeah, I can read, Prabhu.
Hari Bol. Yes, Nala Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. 11, right?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
The people in the vast ocean of birth and death are being blown about by the winds of material dualities as they flounder in the perilous waters of sense indulgence with no boat to help them. They are sorely distressed by the need to protect their sons, daughters, and wives. Only the board that is Lord Vishnu can save them. Dear mind, do not bewilder yourself by anxiously thinking, how can I cross this vast, homeless, and impassable ocean of material existence? There is one who can save you. Devotion. If you offer her to the lotus-eyed Lord, the killer of the Narkasur, she will carry you across the ocean without fail. O Lord of the three worlds, we are drowning in the vast ocean of samsara, which is filled with the waters of material hankering, with many waves of illusion whipped up by the winds of lust, with whirlpools of wives, and with vast schools of sharks and other sea monsters who are our sons and brothers. O giver of all benedictions, please grant me a place on the boat of devotion that is your lotus feet. Once our Savior has been seen, the whole earth becomes no greater than a speck of dust. All the waters of the ocean become mere droplets. The totality of fire becomes a minute spark. The winds become just a faint sigh, and the expanse of space becomes the tiny hole. Great lords like Rudra and grandfather Brahma become insignificant, and all the demigods become like small insects. Indeed, even one particle of dust from our Lord's feet conquers all. O people, please hear of this treatment for the disease of birth and death. It is the name of Krishna, recommended by Yajnavalkya and other expert yogis steeped in wisdom. This boundless eternal inner light is the best medicine, for when drunk it bestows complete and final liberation. Just drink it. O mortal beings, you have submerged yourself fully in the ocean of material existence, which is filled with the waves of misfortune. Please hear as I briefly tell you how to attain your supreme benefit. Just put aside your various attempts at gaining knowledge and instead begin constantly chanting the mantra Om Namah Narayana and bowing down to the Lord, our Master, the personality of Godhead Narayan, who rules the three worlds, whom one can serve in the meditation, and who happily shares his personal domain, is manifest before us. Yes, still we beg for the service of some minor lord of few villages, some lowly men who can only meagerly reward us. Alas, what foolish wretches we are. O lotus-eyed Lord, please sustain our lives as we constantly relish the nectar of meditating on your lotus feet. With our palms prayerfully joined, our heads bowed down, our bodily hair standing up in jubilation, our voices choked with emotion, and our eyes flowing with tears. That head is the loftiest, which is white with dust from bounding down to Lord Krishna. Those eyes are the most beautiful, which darkness has abandoned after they have seen Lord Hari. That intelligence is spotless, like the white glow of the moon or a console which concentrates on Lord Madhava, and the tongue rains down nectar which constantly glorifies Lord Narayan. O tongue, praise the glories of Lord Kesava. O mind, worship the enemy of Mura. O hands, serve the Lord of Sri. O ears, hear the topics of Lord Achyuta. O eyes, gaze upon Sri Krishna. O feet, go to the temple of Lord Hari. O nose, smell the tulsi buds of Lord Mukunda's feet. O head, bow down to Lord Adhakwasaja.
Thank you, Naran Prabhu. Says here, these prayers again, like we have been saying, Kulashekara Alvar is an incarnation of the Kaustubamani of the Lord. He appeared almost at the beginning of the Kali Yuga, right? But we see all these different prayers by all these different pure devotees of the Lord. The message is kind of the same and universal and eternal, right? From time immemorial, from all the different generations. Like how yesterday in the class, Siddhari Prabhu was saying, right? I mean, these are eternal, eternal pastimes, eternal leela of the Lord. But all the devotees through eternality are saying the same message, and our sages given us this wonderful knowledge. And like here it says, and saying that eyes that have been closed by darkness of ignorance are opened when we take the darshan of Lord Hari. And we talk about devotion here, right? And devotion personified is Tulsi Devi, Vrinda Devi, Tulsi Maharani, that we worship, that we water, we circumambulate. And as you were saying the other day, when we when we take the shelter of such pure devotees, and here devotion personified is Tulsi Maharani, when we take her shelter, then she takes us across this ocean of material birth and death. जैसे कोई जिनकी आखिरी सांसें चल रही होती है, so we give Tulsi in their mouth because Tulsi Devi is the eternal servant of the Lord. She is always residing at the lotus feet of the Lord. And Tulsi, when you put it in water, you see it will always float. So similarly, yeah, when we worship Tulsi, when we water Tulsi, circumambulate Tulsi, then Tulsi Maharani, as the devotion personified, can take us directly back home, back to the lotus feet of the Lord, because that is her eternal shelter. So, and we should bow down to the Lord when like we have mentioned previously also, because that head that bows down to the Lord, here it is mentioned, is the loftiest. Yes. Okay, so let's continue our chapter 14 from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrit. Yesterday we saw Srila Prabhupada is in New York. He has found a place where he can perform the daily or the weekly programs. He's writing to Srimati Morarji, requesting for help so that they can purchase this place. And we see how he is not losing any hope despite all the no's and the negatives that he's getting from his godbrothers or from everywhere that he's writing to so far. But Srimati Morarji has not written back to him since he was in Butler, Pennsylvania last month in September, or 2 months ago in September. So now it's November almost, and it's about to be just 1 week before Srila Prabhupada's last day. It'll be almost 2 months it's going to be since he came to the US. But one thing that he has held on to, just as pure devotees always hold on to the lotus feet of the Lord, one thing that the positives that we were talking yesterday, that pure devotees of the Lord only see positives, they only look at the good things in others. And the one thing that has stuck with him is the message that Srimati Morarji wrote to him 2 months ago, that Prabhupada, you should stay there until your health is good, you fully recover, and then only you should come back after you've completed your mission. So those words of Srimati Morarji have been with him. So with that, we will continue. Let me read. Okay. Tagore Society of New York cordially invites you to a lecture, God Consciousness, by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Date, Sunday, November 28, 1965. Time, lecture 3:30 p.m., tea 4:30 p.m. Place, New India House, 3rd East 64th Street. A widely respected scholar and religious leader in India, Swami Bhaktivedanta is briefly visiting New York. He has been engaged in a monumental endeavor of translating the 60-volume Srimad Bhagavatam from Sanskrit into English. November 28, 1965. Dawood Haroon had never met Srila Prabhupada. He was a musician living downtown, and he used to attend the meetings of the Tagore Society up on 64th Street. Dawood Haroon. I went uptown and walked into the auditorium, and I noticed that the stage was empty and a few people were sitting toward the rear of the auditorium. I walked forward down the center aisle because I usually like to sit up front. Then I saw an old gentleman sitting over to the right, and he sort of drew me over to him. So I went over and sat beside him, and then I noticed that he was saying his beads. Even though he had his beads in a bag, I could hear them, and I could see his body moving. And I felt very comfortable because this was something I was used to. As I was sitting there looking around the auditorium, he just turned around and smiled at me very nicely. He nodded his head and I nodded my head. and he smiled and turned around. Then he turned back to me again and safely and softly asked me if I was from India. I said, "No, sir, I'm not from India. I'm from here, the United States." He turned back and he kept chanting with his beads. Then he turned around the next time and asked if I was a Hindu. I said, "No, sir, I am not a Hindu. I'm a Muslim." And he said, "Oh, very good, very good. Yes, many times I hear the children in India reciting the Quran." And then he turned back around, and his body was moving, rocking, and he was working with his beads. Then there were a few more exchanges of pleasantries, sort of intermittent. And then a lady came up on the stage and announced that the lecture was to begin, and if the folks could give the speaker a round of applause, they would welcome him to the stage. At that point, the man I was sitting next to put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Excuse me, sir, could you do me a favor?" And I said, "Yes, anything." He said, "Would you watch over my books?" I looked down on the floor, and he had several books, several boxes of books, and an umbrella, and several other articles. I said, "Yes, I would watch over these." And he said, "Excuse me." He walked up the aisle, and surprisingly, he walked up on the stage. And it was the man I had come to hear, Swami Bhakti Vedanta. He walked up on the stage and introduced himself to the people and tried to get them to come forward. He said, "Come forward, come forward." A few of them came up to the front. There were mixed couples, many Indians, male and female, mostly middle aged and some college aged. A lot of professor types and ladies were there. Then he began his speech. He dove right into it. He just started exclaiming, proclaiming the greatness of the Creator, and that the most important thing is to remember the Creator and remember God. He began to expand on God consciousness, what God consciousness is, and how God is everywhere, and how it behooves us all to remember God, no matter what we call Him, what names we call Him by, but that we should call Him. He gave a demonstration which was very moving. He chanted Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, and spoke about the power and saving grace in the mantra. He took a little break about halfway through and had some water. The last thing he said as he was coming down from the podium was that he had copies of the Srimad Bhagavatam. He explained that he had been working on them and that they came in 3 volumes and were $16. Then he concluded and came down. A lot of people went over to him. Some were timid, some were enthusiastic, some people shook his hand and were asking for books. At first, there were about 15 people gathered around him, talking to him and asking questions. With so many people around, he came over to me and said, "Sir, would you do me one more favor? Will you kindly take over the selling of the books? People will be coming to you for the books. So you sell the books and put the money in this little box, and I will be with you in a minute." I said, "Fine." So while he talked to the people, others came up to me. They must have thought I was somehow his secretary or his traveling companion. And people were coming over to me and asking me personal questions about him, which I couldn't really answer because I didn't know. Some people were buying the books or looking through them. So this went on, and I was trying to listen to him, carry on his conversations with people, and carry on the book selling at the same time. Some of the people were looking for a guru and trying to find out what he was supposed to be. Some of them were really interrogating him, but he just smiled and answered all their questions simply. I remember he told them, "You will know, there is no pressure, you will know if I am your guru." He suggested that people go over and read the books. And then the group dwindled down to about half a dozen, and the few remaining were just looking at him, and some were timid, too timid to approach him. He walked over to them and spoke to them, putting them at ease. Later he came over and we counted the collection, and I helped him pack up his box and carry downstairs the boxes of books that were left. As we parted, he thanked me very much, and I gave him my name and address and phone number and purchased a set of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. It's reminded yesterday also after the class or in the class we were able to distribute one set of Srimad Bhagavatam to a new devotee who came to the center for the first time, Parth. So, and Siddha Hari Prabhu distributed so many of his wonderful book, Big Bang and the Sages. So we see the parampara, it's going on since the time of Srila Prabhupada. And even before, when the Goswamis were there, they wrote all this wonderful literature for us, which has been handed down to us in Guru Parampara, disciplic succession from the past many centuries. So, yeah, but we see again how simple and the simplicity strikes, right? Simplicity is what attracts, and all these kind of humble people who were coming to listen to Srila Prabhupada, they were attracted by his simplicity, attracted by his kind words, and just his gesture and the way he carried himself, right? So even though he was such a knowledgeable person, such a scholarly person of the scriptures, nothing, only the humility of that sadhana was in his head, right? Otherwise, we see people in the material world, once they know things, once they are like scientists, we were talking about scientists yesterday, and like he was saying, Siddhari Prabhu was saying, he wrote to what, thousands of scientists, and out of them only handful of them responded, right? Because when the pride of the education goes into head, then that head which is heavy with pride will not bow down, and that is the quality of a devotee, that who is having this knowledge, the pure knowledge of the Lord, of the Vedas, of bhakti. That head is never heavy with pride, but it's actually so light that it bows down before the Lord. So anyway, but yeah, that is the difference between materialistic education and spiritual education. Yes, any other thoughts, reflections from today's reading? Nalin Prabhu, Meena Mataji, anything from you?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Just the fact that the simplicity of a human being, if somebody is pure at heart, how they attract others. Like this person, he was so attracted, and even though he didn't knew him, but Srila Prabhupada was able to draw him towards him and was able to take his help in selling the books. So just the simplicity of character kind of stood out for me on this one. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I mean that is the main character to be a devotee, like pure devotee. So sometimes when we learn or we do seva or something, right? Sometimes it comes in our mind, oh, I'm doing, but we have to, adapt these basic characters to become a pure devotee, like compassion, simplicity, humbleness, bow down, all this. So that's where it is. This is the learning from this paragraph.
Yes. How was your experience at the book distribution yesterday, Nalin Prabhu?
Yesterday I didn't go. Today I scheduled it for today. Yesterday I had some overlap. So
Okay, very nice. So we'll be able to.
yeah, I will go along with Prabhuji. They will start around 9:30, so I will go along with them.
Okay, wonderful.
So they're taking rest now.
It was a long day.
They already wake up. That's what Pragya Mataji is saying. They already wake up.
Yeah.
They must be chanting. Yeah.
We'll be able to distribute more
Yeah,
books today.
Harita was about to ask a lot of questions with science. She was so impressed yesterday. So, but that is really good knowledge. Last year we didn't know much about Prabhuji because first time he came to our home, but this time we knew that a lot of things we have to learn from him.
Yes. And he's also serving the cows there. So that's also wonderful in Michigan.
Yeah.
And it'll be so cold. So yeah, just like New Vrindavan. New Vrindavan, of course, it's still relatively well, we cannot say it's also on the mountains, so it'll be very cold there, but I think Michigan will be even more colder. So taking care of cows is like a very, very difficult service. But it's like they're doing that, so that's wonderful. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Anything before we wrap up? Okay, then we'll conclude here with Vaishnava Pranam prayers. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णवृंद की जय। जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। शिला प्रभुपाद लीलामृत की जय। निताय
Hare
गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि
Hare
बोल।
Thank you, Prabhuji. Have a great day, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा।